welcome to the Indicator Warehouse. Today we are going to talk about the Profit Manager, version 2. And so this is a complete rewrite of the Profit Manager that came out about a year ago. It has all of the functionality that I had really wanted to see in the beginning. I just took some time to get it right, and now I'm extremely excited to show it to you today. So let me go ahead and put it on my chart. One of the things you'll notice that we've started doing with Indicator Warehouse is having all of our indicators start with an IW, so it's much easier to find in your indicator list. So here's Profit Manager. I'm going to add it to my chart immediately and scoot the chart over a little bit. So what you'll notice right off the bat is that we have these two dots. I call these starter dots. We'll go through the parameters in a second. What this does is this shows you exactly where, if you were starting to trail your position, where it would be. So quick overview of what Profit Manager does. What seems rather simple on the screen is very complex. What Profit Manager does is it enables you to choose from a large variety of different trailing stop types or algorithms, and then manages the stop for you on your behalf. And so what's the value there? The value is that you could literally put on a position and walk out of the room. Let technology manage it for you, and quite frankly, take a lot of that emotion out of the trade of sitting there, biting your nails, wondering if you should get in or out. You've made your commitment. You've chosen the way that it's going to trail, and you let the trail do what it needs to do. And so you can see that we have a variety to choose from. The bar high low is a proprietary one that we got from Eric Senf, who is our CTA and specializes in support and resistance trading. We did add the super trend, very popular one I know nowadays, so it seemed to make sense. And then the classic ATR is what it defaults to. That's because many people use an ATR in their trailing strategy. A few other features just to notice right off the bat, or upgrades, additions, changes that you'll see in version 2, is you can now turn on and off the management of the trade. So let's say you get into a position for whatever reason, you don't want the system managing the trade for you, you can just turn it off right here. In addition to that, let's say that you're trailing 5 ticks behind, who knows what, 5% behind. You can increase and decrease the amount that you're trailing from the toolbar right here. And so the other nice thing that I like is that you can choose which of the trailing stop methodologies you want to use before you get in the trade. So maybe you want to use an ATR, maybe you want to use the bar high low. So let's wait a tick for a second and you'll see how it self-adjusts. There we go. So you can see this is using the bar high low. I'll go into what the bar high low is in a second, but I wanted you to see that before you get into a position, you can choose any number of different ways to trade. This one's the swing, so you can see it's putting in at the last swing. It happens to be one of my favorites. So let me show you some of the key parameters that are involved here. So you can always have a default trailing stop that will be the one that you use immediately on the chart. You can define that here. The system ships with it defaulting to ATR, but as I said, you can choose any of the above. And so below here, these are all the different parameters that you can use to define the way this is going to trail. So length would be tied specifically to moving averages. So let's say you enjoy your favorite trading style is to trade an EMA, let's say 34. Okay? And so if I apply that, you'll see that we're now trailing. In fact, here, let me show you what that would look like. I'm going to put an EMA on here for you. Make it a little thicker. There we go. All right, so you can literally see that right now it's trailing. Let's say you were going to go long, it's trailing right on the EMA 34. Notice this parameter right here. Let me find it for you. Trail ticks MA. So what this is doing right now is it's trailing 2 ticks above or below the 34 EMA. Let's go over and do a nice SMA of like 50. That's a common one. Now, the reason I like this is it's one of these concepts I learned when I first started trading. It was called wash and rinse. And the idea here was that big money saw where all of these stops were, so you didn't really want to trade exactly on the moving average. You wanted to have an offset of, let's say, 3. And so what that did is it enabled you to, hide, if you will, 3 ticks, 4 ticks, 5 ticks away from a very common moving average where people tend to put their stops. So you can see here's the 50 SMA. We're about 3 ticks below, right? And I just love that feature. I think it's very tricky. So if you're using the ATR, pretty standard. A lot of people use the 3. I like a little tighter one. Bollinger Band, parabolic SAR, not really my area of expertise, but a lot of people asked for it. I use the swing strength a lot. In my own personal trading, I like to have it at 3, but 5 is very common. And again, you can choose the offset of how far away from that swing you want it to be, right? So maybe you don't want it to be exactly where the swing was, so it's 2 ticks off. So here's the bar high-low below here. The bar high-low, let me change that over to here, has to do with the previous bar, in this case, 1 bar back, and it moves the stop when a new bar high or low is put into place. And then it has an offset, right? So it's probably 2 ticks below the previous bar. So watch what happens. So here's the previous bar you can see. So it's about 2 ticks below. A lot of people have asked for the ability to be, 1 bar back, 2 bars back, 3 bars back, however many you want. But what it does is not move up the stop until a new bar high low is put in. I find this extremely effective if I'm trying to scalp. It's almost impossible to trail a scalp, and this is about as close as I've ever found to do it, and it is quite effective. For all you super trend folks out here, full control over your super trend. It's an interesting way to trail a stop. You will notice that if you choose super trend, it actually only gives you 1 dot, because what it's doing is it's defining where that super trend is. If it reverses, obviously the dot would be on top. So those are the parameters. Let me show you how this thing actually works in action. And I'm going to use, let's take this EMA off. You know what? We'll use the super trend, right? I know that's a very popular one nowadays. So if my system tells me that I have an entry signal and I want to go long, then I happen to be a chart trader, so let me bring that on. There we go. And so let's say I want to go long. I can, right click and buy my stop, or I can just get in at market. So watch what happens when we get in at market. The way Profit Manager is designed is you must have a stop on your screen. All right, so either you want to use an ATM or you can manually put a stop in. So let's say that I manually put a stop in.
Order pending.
Notice that what it's done now is turn green, and it is starting to trail my stop for me. So let's see if the market goes up, and then you can get an idea of how this works. Now keep an eye on the dots below. What you'll see is that it starts to trail dots according to the trailing methodology in the position that you're going. So now we see that these green dots are actually holding their position right now because we're using the super trend and there hasn't been any change in trend yet. So it's just going to hold that in place. Now I'm actually using 5-minute bars, so I have to give a little bit of time to play out. All right, so see how the dots are starting to move up? So this is a live trade, right? So this is literally my stop in the market. I mean, I could leave the room if I wanted to. It's going to trail now according to the Super Trends algorithm and just continue to move the stop. So let's let it play out. Well, there we go. We just broke even. The profit manager is designed to work with one of three scenarios. There must be a stop in order for it to work. So you can manually enter a stop like I did, or you can use an ATM, or you can use it with the soon-to-be released new version of Risk Manager. But one way or another, you must have a stop on your screen in order for it to work correctly.
Order filled.
There we go. Here, let's see what our P&L was for that. All right, made a nice 50 bucks there. You can scale out. So for you folks that like to do profit targets here, let's put in 3, and I'll make a custom ATM for us here, and we'll say a stop of 8 ticks. All right, so I'm going to set some profit targets. Let's say 2 ticks, 4 ticks, and we'll let the last one be a runner. Okay, and I'm going to use this time, choose a good ATR. How about that? All right.
Order filled.
Now notice that this is where the ATR trail is. I basically said I don't want to risk more than 8 ticks. So my stop's here. What Profit Manager will do is it will come up and pick up the trail and pick up the stop and then start to trail it for you.
Target filled.
All right, so I just scaled out of my first one,
Filled.
and I just grabbed my second target. Now it's going to see, it just picked up the stop, and now it's trailing with a 3 ATR. See how the dots are horizontal? That's because the market is leveling out right now, and so since it's an ATR stop, the volatility is stalled. And so that's the beauty of this. Just wait and let the technology do its magic. So again, the beauty of this indicator is that it doesn't matter what your system is. It doesn't matter what other indicators you have. What this does is allow you incredible flexibility for managing your trades for you, which is such a huge piece of what trading is all about, right? It's we get caught up on the entry signal, but in truth, it's really about sizing your position correctly, which is a whole other video, and then getting in and then managing that trade correctly. And by letting this technology do it for you, it takes a tremendous amount of emotion out of the trade. And so this was just an introductory overview. There'll be more videos about this in the future, but I wanted you to get a sense of what this was about, and I definitely look forward to working with you again. So feel free to contact us and ask us any questions you'd like, and thank you again for joining us today.